We are back for the second half of the season. There is literally just playoffs left, and I don't know how many teams even make it to the play-ins. So I also don't know how important these matches really are, but they are definitely being played for a reason. Hopefully. Also, the East is benefiting from uncompensated labor by getting some contenders teams to tap into the qualifiers, so shout out to that. With what looks to be practically an unchanged meta, there is no shortage of things to hate in Owls right now, starting with the best team there is, the Atlanta Reign. Everything, truly every single thing has gone right for this team, and there's nothing to indicate things will change anytime soon, at least until we get a significant balance patch. Currently on this team, there is potentially the Coach of the Year, the Rookie of the Year, 5 Role Stars, and 4 MVP candidates. What the fuck is next? The President of the United States? Are team winnings going towards the Gator 2024 campaign? Are we getting crypto accepted at major retailers? What is going on? The only things you can nitpick is that improvement will be slower when you're the best, so the gap between them and Houston should close an amount. But with how Donghack continues to get better as the season progresses, even that might not be true. If there is anything that can be exploited, it has to be through Donghack, but it really just hasn't happened enough to call him truly a liability. The Boston Uprising show glimmers of hope that they are the real deal, and that bringing together all of these legends of the sport can produce a year of greatness. But then they also show pits of despair, and that these old heads can't keep up with the ever-changing ecosystem of Overwatch 2. The Uprising had a collapse rivaling that of the Soviet Union for no reason. They are the current holders of the speedrunning world record for the 540-degree turn. They got cooked by Houston only to smoke Hangzhou and then crumble to Florida. Either be shit or be good, but not good enough to actually make a run at the big guys. Just pick a struggle. Maybe sending Dongsu to church and bringing in the ultimate smiler in Kariv will give them some stability, and the coaching decisions were questionable at best anyway. Why was Izzy ever playing Ana? Twilight benched Violet on Ana, but he splits time with Izayaki? The math is just not working. Oh, also Striker is just gone to the surprise of literally no one. He served zero purpose on this roster. The Dallas Fuel are praying that with the slight buffs to Junker Queen, Hanbin will be able to carry them even more than he already has. And you know what? Those pleas might be answered because Hanbin is simply built different. If there is anyone that can defeat the evil of a stagnant meta, it is Rush and the Dallas Fuel. Their success hinges on if they commit to combating the meta or being tragic at it. If we see Edison primarily on Sombra, it's not winnable. Pack it up. If this team isn't successful, neither is Sparkle's Tracer. Just give up. Bliss has had his Rookie of the Year campaign bogged down by MCD, who is a top manager at Racist Corp, and even there, he is barely pulling his weight. If MCD doesn't play better against Hangzhou or Guangzhou, what value does he really bring to this franchise? He works best when he's assigned to Moira duty, and that says it all. The Florida Mayhem have a chronic disease known as quirked up syndrome. Gunba just can't help but be a little bit different. They gotta run some Lucio Moira even when Charong is getting completely farmed. They gotta use someone's flexibility to its full potential, but I don't care how flexible he is, he could be an Olympic gold medal gymnast. Put that man on Winston. This team has the tools to compete on Tracer Sombra with the big boys. If they just stop fooling around with this nonsense and hone in on their signature fuck it we ball style, they could be a real threat. Someone and Charong are in role star conversations, Checkmate has leveled up, and RuPaul is a consistent beast. The only question mark is Merit's Sombra, but even then, that question mark is smaller than most teams. I want to see them try and spawn camp every game. I want to see Charong bash in like a lunatic 1v5. That's when they're at their best. That's when they're feeling it. That's what you want to see. The Guangzhou Chokers are on their last life. How do you lose to Dreamers? There is literally zero world where that should ever happen. Toisei 1 is Jesus Christ himself. That is until a match actually matters. And then suddenly, he's Jesus Christ, but when he died to the common folk. Why? And why is he still the best player on his team even when he is dead Jesus? How is that possible? This team did not improve across the first half of this season at all. In fact, they may have gotten worse. Jimmy is allergic to Sombra, and Piggy refuses to pay for the battle pass, so he still has Ramatra locked. The Herbalife money has run dry. Somebody, anyone, sponsor this team so Piggy can play Ramatra. Xerneas, Faraway, and Choi is enough to contend for the top of APAC alone, but Piggy needs to go even further than being a support Winston, and Jimmy needs to either find consistency or a cure for Sombra phobia. Maybe with the Echo buffs, they can fuck around some more with Tracer Echo comps if Jimmy is open to that, but I don't care, just make it happen. Choi needs to be seen by North America. It needs to happen. The Hangzhou Spark are technically the best team in APAC right now because they actually won a game in the midseason madness. Leave has been a beast as expected, and he's only gotten better as the season's gone on. Their long con Sombra grind has paid off, and Shai has turned out to be one of the best in the league at her despite the early troubles. Gushwei is still one of the best Winstons in the game, and with 20 leaving, it actually helps them because they're better off spamming the Winston comp anyway. However, even with Monk putting on a show at LAN, the support line is undoubtedly still the weakness of this team. Because of this, it only makes sense to round out the backline with Pineapple. What the fuck? What the, huh? This guy has played no support ever in his professional career. What are you cooking here? Did they see how Teru worked out and they said, why would we ever stop gambling? Continue. Get it twisted. Don't quit while you're ahead. You could get more ahead. Why would you stop? Pineapple would have to be crazy to make this more worth than, I don't know, replacing the off tank you just fired with Ligue. What's gonna happen when you see that you have to play Circuit Royale? Is Gushwei locking the Sigma? Is he forcing the Winston? What are you doing? The Houston Outlaws are the alpha threat. Happy and Pelican just started playing Russian roulette for Sombra Jail before the midseason madness, and honestly, it's actually a great decision. If you get them going back and forth on the heroes equally, their coordination could go off the charts, and they can utilize their different playstyles to change up the tempo and catch opponents off guard. Chu and Violet are a top 2 backline in this game with the highest of high flexibility, and Fearless is the best Winston in the universe. The potential for greatness is right there, and if Atlanta wasn't literally the best team to ever do it, we'd be writing motivational speeches on the Outlaws. Maybe Echo buffs will give them the edge they need against Atlanta, but ultimately, if they want to win, they just have to work on their mechanics, and also their comms, their coordination, their compositions, their consistency, and then maybe, just maybe, they'll get close. The London Spitfire was a great example of what it means to stay true to oneself. After overachieving last season, they kept largely the same core, but with some additions that turned out to be subtractions. They had significant double flex support usage, they had Sparker being benched for literally no good reason, and they forced Lethal to be a Tracer one-trick for fun, I guess. I don't know. Every time they didn't play their Rhine Rush, they were just losing. They almost lost to Avala, not her team, her in the lobby. They'd consistently get their one win playing Rhine May Rush every match. Outlaws, Gladiators, Mayhem, Uprising. They take a map off the American military. It doesn't matter who they play. They were getting their one map of crumpling people on Rhine, but yet it took them 4 weeks to realize this and go back to their roots. Now they said, fuck it, goodbye Lethal, goodbye Skyreaper and his 3-map wins. It's time to return to what the great ancestors of EU contenders taught. Fuck it, we Rhine. The LA Gladiators have lost the plot somewhere along the way. We saw Kevster playing some May, and if I was a Glads fan, I would just not be having any of that. We saw Kevster on the May, and if I was a Glads fan, I would be advocating outside the Parliament building to keep that man far away from May, night in and night out. And you know what? Also Torbjorn, while we're here. There is no place for Kevin on May in the great state of California. And also, why would we be seeing Lastro get subbed out for any reason whatsoever? He is one of the most flexible support players of all time, and he's being subbed out for Babel. Why? You ain't running Kiri Lucio for an entire map, bro. To try and get back on the path of victory, they have closed the curtain on the definitive white boy Winston of Owl, and you know what? It is for the best. I may have signed a Dante apology form in the past, but that has been voided since he exited the league. Winning in this meta with his Winston was a tall order even for Kevin, and relying on the Ramatra comp just did not suit the general strengths of this roster. So now we have Marvel pulling up to the function as the original Hyperflex GOAT and most cucked man in Owl history, but that ends here today. He will get his chance to shine on a respectable team. This man needs to find consistency, and Marv 1 would be the key. The LA Valiant are a poverty franchise, but lucky for them, they have the father who stepped up, Seeker. He and CJ might have to do it all themselves, but the father and son duo will not go winless. They are the people's champions, and they are Tezonde's champions. I don't care that they have no support from their org, no coaching, not even a social media manager. I don't care if they struggle to play anything that isn't Ramatra and May comps. They have a personality, an underdog mentality, and are just good enough that they maybe can steal a win. They will lose a lot, but they will smile and bring smiles to a lot of people. The New York Excelsior put Fitz on support, and you know what? I'm actually going to defend that decision. Halo got blown the fuck up in week 1, and Lep off of Lucio is a tough look, while Fitz, his brig was solid. The Psycho and Shockwave DPS duo got the job done, and Creative is one of the best Kirikos we have seen. However, Fitz was not about that lifestyle. He put his foot down and told Changoon that his ass is not playing support all day. So now, New York Excelsior needs to live with the sin of making a father of 5 financially unstable, and have signed the spawn room interior designer himself, OG. It's tough to say how much of a difference this makes, but if it lets Fitz play Sombra more often, it will pay dividends. Regardless if OG is an upgrade, downgrade, or inside outgrade to the tag team combo of Lep and his children. The more Kellen is on Winston, and the less he's committing unspeakable atrocities on Reinhardt, the better. Now it's time for the Contenders Speedrun. For Dreamers, no Spectra May plus no Easy Hunt Sombra equals no carry on the rush or the dive comp. Bad and Top Dragon have been good, but they've also been inconsistent, and the hole they need to fill is pretty deep. This team has gone from a dream to a nightmare. For O2 Blast, all of their guys from last stage are gone, but because they are called O2 Blast, they'll somehow be good. With Who Are You and Profit as a DPS duo and Protect as a solo tank, their best bet is to say fuck the meta, run Genji, a hit scan, an off tank, and then go to church to pray. For Panthera, the backline is still tragic, Bait has been poached, and Alien is nowhere to be seen. Neist and Becky need to carry the world on their shoulders to make this team competitive. For Poker Face, they're largely the same team, minus Arrow plus Victoria to continue the Uprising Academy vibes. For APAC, Simple and Aiden are a great backline, Muse is a great Winston, and the DPS line have stepped up. These guys are a legitimate threat to the top dogs in the region, so hopefully more Owl experience will prevent any choking or C9s like the knockouts had. Now we're back to normal schedule with the San Francisco Shock, who are in complete crisis management mode. They had the most hyped contender squad since Runaway, 2 top of the line sophomore supports, and the best Overwatch player since 1992, and that's only good for a sub 500 record. I don't know the complete moves they're making, and leakers have no fucking clue what's going on anymore, but this shit needs to be torpedoed. Heesang is out of there, and Vindame is likely to follow. There should have been no world where the best course of action was to run it down on Orisa and play the most unkillable backline in the universe. There is no drive, there is no passion, there is no vision, and there is only Proper carrying with his sheer will and anger. They need to turn things around. Krusty needs to figure out how Sombra works with Probe or whoever else is replacing Heesang. They need the backline to not be as useful as a box of sand on the beach, and for Proper to have full resources to carry every single map. I fear for Proper's health. There's only so much one man can take. So many times Max can get subbed in for no reason before his blood pressure just explodes out of his body. I hope all Shock fans continue to have hope just because of Proper, and I hope you suffer for it, because fuck you in particular, Shock fans. I will kick you while your team is down. I do not care. but still subscribe. Thanks. The Seoul Dynasty are similar to the Shock with significantly less hype, and instead of Proper willing his team to be competitive, Prophet just doesn't want to deal with that shit anymore. The GOAT has had a long and hard career, and he is just too tired to deadlift a team anymore. Bro had to take a break mid-knockouts because his team was just so tragic. They've made some decent adjustments by acquiring someone capable of playing Sombra, and perhaps there's more to come. I don't know, the matches start in like a day, but what's going on? Regardless, they have Bellows Rhea leading the charge on Winston and don't want to fully commit to Void, so it is just over. They could maybe carve a niche by being bootleg Dallas with a competent DPS line, and that could go over well, but it'd take a lot to make it out of the basement, and they are at moderate to severe risk of losing to contenders squads. And I haven't even touched on them having the worst support line in the game. Krillin Lee Soo-min is worse than Luke Mino Rack Attack. I will put my name on it. The Seoul Infernal is what happens when the most vicious apex predator in the ocean has to fight a battle to the death on land. Everyone else in the mid-season madness had a Sombra player who was not detrimental to their team's success. MN3 just needs to grind it out or be so unnaturally good at hitscan that he can get away with it even against the top teams. I mean, that's worked out so far against APAC, but now that they know how they fare against NA, it'll be constantly tormenting them in the back of their mind. Mag and Skewed have ended up fighting for role star slots, and if you're delusional and choose to ignore MN3 Sombra, he too could be fighting for a role star spot. Fixa has been cruising along his redemption arc, and Zest has been solid. They'll either go out a hero or live long enough to go out sad with the MN3 Sombra. The Shanghai Dragons have finally done it. They were so bad that Moon has come down from his high. He was either stuck in 2017 where Fleta was the meta, woo, let's go, or he thought he signed Fleta's brother, Bleta, a young Winston prodigy. Since he's learned the truth, Moon has entered a deep state of depression that only one man could pull him out of. Fate, as mid as he is right now, is the savior of Shanghai, Coach Moon, and most importantly, Viper's Rookie of the Year campaign. Viper managed these numbers while constantly fighting down a tank, and now he'll finally have someone to set him up, someone else to provide space for his team. This is enough to make a grown man cry. If they get some synergy going, the Dragons have some real potential to shoot up the standings. Hisu is still one of the Sombra greats, Iris is solid, and Gangnam Jin gets to play Brigger Kiri, which isn't Lucio, so honestly it's not that bad. On June 10th, 2023, the Toronto Defiant received an urgent call from Justin Trudeau himself, alerting them that they are not currently fulfilling their mid quota, and if the situation was not addressed, there would be no more Bell 5 zone. This left management visibly disgruntled, and with no other choice, they were forced to revamp their roster. Spectra and Opener are straight upgrades over Speedly and OG with how they've performed, and Sam is just an unfortunate casualty of it all. Even with his late start, Spectra has a real opportunity to jump ahead in the Rookie of the Year race, especially if you include Dreamer's run through the knockouts. Even so, there are still a variety of problems. Can Kaluge hang out on Winston? How does this new blood mix? Do they have that dog in them? I don't have the answers. But now that they cannot physically take Kaluge out of the lineup and Majed is in the country, things should be looking up. The Vancouver Titans already had problems before Aspire was outed as a criminal, but somehow they seem minor in comparison. Their Tracer Sombra dive wasn't cutting it at all compared to their hitscan variant, and the Punky left something to be desired. Even with the backline performing above expectations, they managed to lose to the Junbin Orisa, but now they've turned the loss of a talented but complete weirdo DPS player into a positive both in-game and out. By utilizing the 3-second rule, they managed to pick Heesang off the floor immediately. While his season has been a struggle, the Tracer potential is undoubtedly there. This could be the star power they've desperately needed on their dive comp, or it could ruin all of the synergy they've built up. The crazy part is, secretly Heesang knew he'd never be able to compete with Lenny to win Rookie of the Year, so he decided to tank and end up in Vancouver to force him over to Sombra duty. Bro was really just playing the long con, trust. The Vegas Eternals sucked really bad, unparalleled, catastrophic levels of bad. The solution? Blow up half the team and bring in 3 guys playing on 200 ping from Korea. The talent might be better, but between ping, language barriers, location barriers, and short practice time, there is a real chance they do not get significantly better and still end up winless. They've signed some good pieces, with Knife being a standout player, 2U being a great solo tank option, and Irony proving his worth with newfound O2 Blast knowledge. And they've kept the right guys as well. Dove deserves a decent chance to prove his worth, and Rack is fine, I guess, but the odds are stacked against them. Make sure to circle July 29th for Vegas vs Valiant. It might not be a toilet bowl, but it will be a significant game for one reason or another. I just hope the Eternal are at least watchable now. The Washington Justice got their best men together to solve the question, how do we get better? They came up with many solutions, but ultimately decided on Alpha Yi undergoing an off-the-grid human test to make him a super soldier. But unfortunately, it just didn't work because Alpha Yi is already peak human performance. Their next best solution was to sack FD God for Donghun. And personally, I would have taken a look at the flex support who has no idea how to play Baptiste, or maybe the main tank you have benched on literally everything except for Reinhardt. But objectively speaking, Donghun is a better player for this meta and probably in general. No matter what, all of Washington's success hinges on Alpha Yi being the best player in the lobby by thrice. Bro got me saying thrice. And also Flora can chip in by being the best gambler Washington DC has ever seen. I gotta admit though, Get Amazed has a very strong coach of the year case because a lot of work goes into fluffing Alpha Yi's pillow and getting him coffee. Anyway, as they say, spaghetti on the floor is worth more than pasquetti on the plate, and this Owl season proves it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Overwatch League content. Have yourself a good one. Deuces.